moment. A highlight reel goal! Are you watching this?
Most wonderful time of the year. Because of the World Juniors, we live for it.
This truly is the best tournament in the international calendar every year.
Luke Hughes, debuts!
You need a big goal at a big moment. Big leader comes through.
There's no greater honor than to represent your country at this event.
This is where guys can really shine and help their stock.
Gauthier rips it under the bar! And the Americans take the lead!
It has to come together. There's no time for bad games.
Kill or be killed mentality. Score! Chaz Lucius wins the bronze medal for Team USA!
Oh my word!
This is a real good test for guys as they look forward to their next level because this is best on best.
Team Booyah! Booyah!
Pressure of this tournament, the emotions of this tournament.
All these young players, they're all revved up.
And the United States win the World Junior Hockey Championship.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 2025 World Junior Championship Preview Show presented by Elite Prospects alongside Tony Granato and Sam Cosentino. I'm Jamison Coyle. It feels like Christmas morning for the hockey fan, just the day after Christmas morning. December 26th kicks off the annual World Junior Championships. We love it every single year. There's so much talent on display. Tony, you've played in a couple of different World Juniors. What makes this tournament so special?
Yeah, J-Mo. First of all, the Stanley Cup is the prize that everybody thinks is the greatest thing as a hockey player. But as a young player, when I had an opportunity to put a USA sweater on for the first time and recognize that not only you're playing for your country, but you're going against the best in the world, it kind of was one of those moments where you kind of think, okay, if this is my last game, it's okay. I got to play for the U.S. team. So the powerful meaning of putting that sweater on and to know what it feels like, the emotions that come with it, is incredible. So there's going to be so many wonderful stories and kids getting the same opportunity that I got. Mine was 40 years ago, so that's a long, long time ago. But I still have that same feeling when I see those sweaters.
Sammy, you cover it each and every year. What makes this so special?
Well, you know, for Canadians and coming at it from that angle, that's the thing that most Canadians gather around their fireplace or their televisions for on Boxing Day and moving forward. It's just one of those things where people can take their time off, really enjoy some great hockey. And the cool part for all fans is you're getting to see the future of the National Hockey League a couple of years before it arrives. And I think that's what's really kind of the glorious thing, because it serves all constituents. It's not just Canadians, it's not just Americans, it's all of the NHL, and it's all of the world, essentially. And that's why I think this thing is such a great tournament.
And sometimes these kids are so good, you see them in the NHL next year. It's impressive. Let's welcome in our draft and prospects expert, Jason Bukala, joining us on the preview show as well. Jason, great to see you as always. I'll ask you the same question as these guys. What makes this tournament so special in your eyes?
Well, just watching Tony explain it there and the pride that he took several years ago, putting on the jersey for the first time, you know, you can see the emotions in his eyes. And I don't think that's anything that ever escapes you. It's an honor. This is a big event. All of the world seems to be watching the World Juniors, no pun intended. And it's just that special. It's that meaningful. Obviously, in North America, we take a different stance on it because this is the time of year without international breaks like the other European countries. They have longer breaks in November and in February. This is our big event mid-year, and it's special. I never get tired of it. This is my 14th tournament that I'll be attending. I'm excited for the youth at this event, and more importantly, just great hockey and a great environment in Ottawa.
All right, well done. Let's take a look at the groups. There's Group A and there's Group B, and there's always, you know, some speculation of who's going to play who in the early round. So diving into those matchups, starting with Group A, taking a look at some of those teams right here. Here you go. Group A, Canada, Finland, Germany, Latvia, USA. Whew, that's a who's who early on in the preliminary rounds. Canada and USA, they're going to be facing off on New Year's Eve. Always special when those two teams get together on the ice. And over in Group B, you've got Czechia, Kazakhstan, Slovakia, Sweden, and last but certainly not least, the Swiss, Team Switzerland, rounding out Group B. Hey, speaking of Team USA, coming off a highly successful year in 2024, Team USA entering the tournament as defending champs after an undefeated run in last year's tourney. The Americans looking for a repeat title for the first time in their history. Team USA has never reached the gold medal game in a tournament following winning the previous one. Tony, When you look at their roster construction, they do return a ton of veteran people. They have 10 players returning from last year's gold medal team and the entire coaching staff. How much does that help their cause trying to repeat as gold medal champions?
Well, doing it in Sweden last year in the Sea of Yellow, as they called it, and winning in their own country against the Swedes in the finals was certainly a confidence booster for them, where they could go anywhere and feel comfortable that they can win anywhere. So going into Canada is always intimidating for the Americans. Even though the U.S. team has won twice in Canada of their gold medals. So I don't think this team will be intimidated. And one, you mentioned the coaching staff, and this is unique for the U.S. to repeat the same staff. Usually the U.S. looks to give different guys opportunities, but those guys did such a wonderful job, and the Americans have so much pride now when they go to this tournament to be able to compete with the world's best. It's always been labeled as Canada's tournament, and the Americans are finally confident enough to say, hey, if we're going to win. And I think that just the attitude for the Americans is so much better. So David Carle and his staff, all of them, all of the returners, have so much experience now and so much confidence going in.
It's a good year for him, huh? He wins gold there, and then he wins the national championship.
Well, it's huge. But what I like is the mindset he's created. Right on the first day of camp, he said, you know what? We're not defending a title. We are chasing a title. And I think the term defend just puts a different mindset on. It's like, we're going to go in and we're just going to try and defend this thing, and we're going to win again. But chasing a title is a whole different mindset. It's forget about what happened last year. We're going to go chase it this year. And you look at what he's done, sensational coaching record. I mean, the NHL, it's just a matter of time before he makes his way to the NHL, and he'll probably have his choice as to which job he wants to take. But in the meantime, this is a pretty good gig.
Yeah, not too shabby. Jason, when you looked at last year's team, the Boston College line certainly played a big impact in that team's overall success. Similar faces, not completely the same line, but a new Boston College line. How is it the same? How is it different? And how can they impact the team again this tournament?
Well, obviously, James Higgins is slotting in on that line for this tournament. This line specifically, Ryan Leonard, I have to tell you guys, is one of my favorite prospects in the entire world. And the reason is that he scores goals in big moments, but more importantly than that, he's a dog on a bone. Like, he's in the fight, fellas. He plays a heavy, hard style. He pushes back physically, and he makes people better around him. And that's going to allow someone like Higgins a little bit more time and space to potentially do what he does. And then, of course, he deflect over to Gabe Perreault. This is an elite line. They're going to be exceptionally difficult to check. They can play the game whatever way you want. You want to push the pace between the blue lines, we're going to do it that way. You want to grind it out off the wall, work off the cycle, and take it to the paint, we're going to do it that way. So this is special for Team USA. I love this team. I want to double down on the coach real quickly. I love his bench demeanor. Tony, you've seen this guy develop as a coach. I love his bench demeanor. I love the way he handles the group. And this is the favorite for me, Team USA.
What do you guys make of the Boston College line? Again, similar faces, not quite the same, but still could have a massive impact for Team USA.
When you had Will Smith there, I think it leaned a little bit more to the offensive side of things. Now you bring a guy like Higgins. He's got some compete. He's got that two-way game. So it adds a little more responsibility to the line, and I think it allows his wingers, in Perreault, and in Leonard to be able to go and do their thing a little more freely because James Higgins is such a responsible player. The chemistry is there. They know exactly what they need to do, what they want to do, and how they want to go about doing it. So I'm looking forward to watching this line. I think you'd have to look at it and say probably going in, this would be the top line for any of the countries participating.
Sure, and I think the other thing, the familiarity of them playing together at Boston College for the whole year has been something that the coaches, if I'm a coach and I know these guys are together, I kind of stay out of their way because their track record on what they've done and what they're potentially able to do in this tournament is off the charts. And so the replacement of Higgins and Smith, it's different. Will Smith could still be on this team. He's still young enough, but obviously he's in San Jose. But Higgins has done a really good job. I talked to Greg Brown about the difference of those two players, and it took Higgins a little while to kind of learn his line mates, and once he learned that Perreault is as good of a high hockey IQ as you could have on the one side, and you got the power forward on the other side, he's learned how to use those two, especially in the past few weeks. So I think that line's just getting better and better, and we'll have a big turn.
Speaking of staying on this team, it feels like Trey Augustine has been on this team since 1986. This is going to be his third consecutive Team USA appearance on the World Junior roster. Is there a more important position than your netminder to have that familiarity, that trust factor going into such a tournament of this magnitude where, you know, things happen very quickly and things can go off the rails just as quick?
You know, you play in league play and you have routines and you know what you're doing, you know when you're traveling, you know when you're getting ready. But when it comes to Augustine, having played in this tournament, it can throw you some curveballs in terms of practice time, media availability, when you need to show up to the rink, the travel and getting to the rink. That, for someone who's new to the tournament, can be rattling. But for someone who's been in it now for 2 times previously, he's not going to be rattled by any of that. So if they have to make a sudden change and, hey, we're leaving earlier, we're eating later, whatever the case might be, he's not going to be rattled. And as a result of that, his play on the ice won't be affected by that. Whereas someone who's just going about it for the first time, some of those things can be like, oh, wait a sec, I'm used to doing this. No, that's not the way it's going to go. Yeah. And so that experience is huge, especially in goal.
Good for your goalie.
It's great for the goalie. And the thing that I will say about him is JP and I were there last week at practice trying to talk to the players to try to, what's Trey like? You know, can we get him to talk about himself and this and that? And every single guy to a man says Trey will never talk about himself. He talks about his teammates. He's humble. He's one of the guys that if he's your goalie and you're on the team, you're going to do everything you can to help him because he's one of those persons that just understands what, you know, the demeanor that you have to have as a goalie. So I love that part of it. And the other thing, if you see him in big games, he's so calm and so controlled and so relaxed. And then the last thing I want to point out is these guys, most of these guys have played together, whether it be U18s, whether it be for the development team along the way. The communication part with your goalie on going back for pucks, on how to yell and what to say to them, and knowing your defenseman in front of you will be a big factor in this tournament.
And you want to hit the ground running in a tournament like this. There's very little time to kind of get things up to speed. And Jason, when you look at, based on what Trey Augustine has done so far in his collegiate, you know, career in the last couple of weeks, it feels like this guy is dialed in just at the right time for Team USA.
Yeah, so when you're scouting players, especially college players, I always like to scout them in segments. And when you're only playing a couple of games a week, you could have a good one Friday and not so good one Saturday. And then I go back maybe the week after or 2 weeks later, and I see what sort of adjustments the goaltenders made in terms of preparing. That is not a concern for Trey Augustine. In his last 10-game segment, guys, 2.0 goals against average, .930 save percentage. So he enters the tournament on a heater and gives this group all kinds of confidence as they track towards repeating for gold. So one thing I will say about this kid specifically, high leverage. Sammy pointed out so many good things there. 2 years ago in Halifax, he got christened at a high level. It didn't go exactly the way he wanted it to, and he just kept rebounding and raising his game to another level. USA's got to be really confident and excited with Trey Augustine between the pipes.
All right, let's take a look at Team USA's upcoming schedule. As we mentioned, they'll kick off the tournament coming up the day after Christmas, December 26th. So here you go. They'll take on Germany at 2:30 Eastern Time. These games in Ottawa. After that, it's Latvia 2 days later. Then they get the Finns, and yes, they round out pool play with a matchup against their rivals, Team Canada. Again, New Year's Eve, that one 8 o'clock right here on the NHL Network. Coming up, the World Juniors has served as a showcase for future first overall picks. And Cam Robinson of Elite Prospects is joining us next to talk expectations for not just one, but 2 potential #1 picks taking part in this year's tournament.
The IIHF World Junior Championship Preview is presented by Elite Prospects, the gateway to hockey. Download the app now and track every detail of the World Junior Championships.
Welcome back to the 2025 World Junior Championship Preview Show presented by Elite Prospects. Remember these 2 names, James Hagens and Gavin McKenna. Hagens plays for Team USA and is the projected first overall pick in 2025. McKenna plays for Canada and projects to be the first overall pick in 2026, and he just turned 17 on December 20th. Let's welcome in Cam Robinson, Elite Prospects Director of Scouting right now. And Cam, thanks so much for joining us. Expectations for these 2 guys. Obviously, expectations super high just based on what we talked about, their projected first overall draft picks. What more can you tell us about these 2 youngsters?
Well, they show up big when they're playing internationally. So for James Hagens, you know, he put up 23 points in 7 games at the U17s for America, set the new point record there. Put up 21 points at the U18s last year for America, set the point record there. So we know he knows how to show up in big games, especially internationally. He's going to have some familiarity on his line there as well. With it's expected that he'll have his Boston College teammates Gabe Perreault and Ryan Leonard flanking him on the top line. He should see all the opportunities. This is a really great spot for him to kind of reestablish himself as the consensus #1 pick in this draft. Skillful center, lots of dynamic playmaking ability. He has a good shot, good wheels, even has a little two-way game to him as well. So he's a really projectable offensive center. He's going to have a lot of eyes on him this tournament, and I expect that he'll do very, very well.
There's always interesting storylines when talking about the World Junior Championships year in and year out. This year, how much stronger is Group A compared to what we see over at Group B?
Yeah, so when we're looking at Group A, it's something like the group of death, we call it there. So that's Canada, Sweden, or USA and Finland, I should say. So they're going to have their hands full. On the other side of the bracket, Sweden, you know, they have Slovakia, they have Czechia. They left some players at home that we were expecting to be there, so it should be an easier path for Sweden. Maybe not so much a cakewalk, but they should be able to slip their way into that semifinal without too much resistance. Then they're going to run into those big teams that are over there on Group A. But so Canada, Finland, USA, it's going to be a dogfight for them to get out of the quarterfinals. Someone's going to have a tough matchup in that one.
All right, so when you talk about Team USA, some would say that Team USA might have the best player at each position, forward, defense, as well as between the pipes. Would you agree with that statement?
I absolutely would. So up front, this is Ryan Leonard's team for Team USA. So last year, you know, Gabe Perreault, Leonard, and Will Smith, they were kind of playing second fiddle to Rutger McGorty and Cutter Gauthier. It was their team, and they went and ran all the way to gold. This year, you know, Leonard, he could be playing in the NHL this season. There's no question about it. He had every opportunity to. He could be playing top 9 minutes in Washington. Instead, he decided, I'm going to go back to Boston College, try to win another national championship, but he also wanted to do something that no American team has ever done before, and that's win back-to-back gold medals. So this is going to be his team. He's going to be the captain. He's going to be looked upon to be the inspiration up front, offensively, physically, a very physically dominant player who doesn't take a lot of penalties. So up front, he's looking like he's going to be the top forward. On the blue line, Zeev Buium. Imagine getting this kid 12th overall in the draft last year after putting up 50 points as a freshman in the NCAA. Now he's coming back after a big tournament last year. He's going to be looked at to run all the offense on the blue line there. He leaves the NCAA as the top scoring defenseman among all skaters, defensemen, not just U20 guys. And I know Red Wings fans are going to be yelling at me, Axel Sandin Pellikka. He leads the SHL as the top scoring D-man there. So he's going to give some pushback for Buium, for the top defender, but my money's on Buium with his excellent two-way game and all the smarts and the skating that he has. And then in goal, Trey Augustine, Detroit Red Wings pick. I think he is head and shoulders the best goaltender at this event. Not only can he steal the game for the Americans, he might be able to steal this entire tournament for him. He has a .930 save percentage in the NCAA right now. Put up a .930 save percentage in the World Championships last year. All this kid does is win. He already has a gold medal at the U18s, at the World Juniors. Now he's looking to do it one more time and backstop this team, and I think that he's going to be the guy in net and that everyone's going to be looking at and talking about how are we going to beat this kid.
All right, Team USA looking to go back-to-back for the first time ever, and those names that you just mentioned certainly will help that cause. Before we let you go, any other names in this tournament that you think we and the viewers out there need to keep our eye on?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple of draft-eligible kids in this 2025 class. So Matthew Schaefer is probably the biggest one. He just turned 17 a couple of months ago. Very, very young, youngest player in this draft class, and he's looking like he's going to have the top power play job for Canada. We haven't seen a draft eligible for Canada since Jamie Drysdale. He's only the second in the last 10 years. You know, Ryan Ellis, I believe, has the record for Canada with most points in a tournament at 7. I think with top power play deployment, with his just exquisite offensive skill, his great skating, that he could push that mark and even break it and set a new record for them. So an excellent player to watch. Another Canadian, Porter Martone, a big power forward. He missed some pre-tournament games due to a nagging injury, but he's expected to be healthy and ready to go. I think he could have a big impact for Canada as well, kind of getting in, mixing it up a little bit. He has great hands. Puts up tons of points in the OHL as well. And then finally, I think we should be looking out for Victor Eklund with Team Sweden as well. William Eklund's younger brother, the San Jose Sharks player, highly, highly dynamic forward. Has a little jam to his game too, but on Team Sweden, I think he's going to start lower in the lineup and then elevate as the tournament goes along. He's one to watch as well, who could likely be a top 10 pick. So there's lots of draft-eligible players to watch, especially for those fans of bottom feeders that are going to be looking at the draft lottery this year.
Awesome. Looking forward to everything. You just gave us some great insight about. Can't wait We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Enjoy the tournament. Always fun.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right, Cam Robinson of Elite Prospects. We're going to step aside here on NHL Tonight, our preview show. When we come back, we'll do a deep dive on the host nation as Canada looks to rebound from a disappointing showing in 2024. And we'll break down the top squads in Group B. Sweden, Czechia. That's next.
Czechs have never beaten Canada in a medal round game at the World Junior. 0-7 coming in.
20 minutes to go to decide who gets to the semifinals.
You know the magnitude of the moment.
Drops it back to Beher. And now Stensel should score! And with 11 seconds to go in the third, the Czechs have retaken the lead. And Czechia beats Canada to advance to the semifinals, their first ever win against Canada in a medal round game at the World Junior Hockey Championship.
To lose that way, it's a gut punch for Canada.
It was a disappointing finish for Team Canada in last year's tournament, giving up that game-winning goal to Czechia with 11 seconds to go in the quarterfinals. However, Canada has won 3 of the last 5 gold medals, including the last 2 times they've hosted on home soil in 2022 and 2023. Back on home soil here this year in Ottawa. Sam, how much pressure is on Team Canada, not only because it's on home soil, but also because of the disappointing finish a year ago?
Oh, no question. And so anything but a gold medal will be looked at as a failure for this club. And it often is that way, but this time in particular because, hey, quarterfinals, say goodbye. No more television, no more stardom, no more free, free restaurants and meals everywhere you go afterwards. That stuff was all done. So I think they've taken a little bit of a turn, the country, in terms of how this roster has been constructed, but there is no question that the pressure will be exponentially much larger than it has been in past years because of what happened last year and because it's in Ottawa. There's probably going to be 18,000 people a game for every one of Canada's games.
Even if they won gold last year, there's going to be pressure on Team Canada. Always is.
Yeah, absolutely. And we looked at the U.S. roster and we saw the star players that they're filled with and the 10 returnees and the goaltending, and you say, okay, that's the favorite. But with the roster that Canada's put together, I think it's a flip a coin. I won't say one team is better than the other because they both have so much skill. What it's going to come down to, obviously, is goaltending and lots of little things. And I think when you talked about building the Canada roster, I think both teams were thinking, okay, it's going to be a meetup where U.S. and Canada are probably going to be playing for the gold. Not to disrespect the other teams, because there's teams that can win it in Finland and Sweden and the Czechs that we mentioned that are always surprisingly and play great. But did the Canadians put a line together or a lines at the bottom of the lineup that could play against that Boston College line, can grind them down, can frustrate them, can cause them into bad decisions or cause them into selfish play? And so that's the dynamics of the game, at least the head-to-head game on New Year's that I look forward to seeing. And it's going to be, again, everybody's going to look forward, and the entire hockey world is going to be watching Canada-U.S. because there's just so much talent on it. And set up for a wonderful matchup.
Yeah, what do you make of the roster construction with Team Canada? Is that any different than in years past about how they go about putting things together?
A lot younger. A lot of time the messaging out of Canada is that this is a 19-year-old tournament and we are going to select predominantly 19-year-old players. Well, in this time around, that's not necessarily the case. It's more younger, skilled, and as Dave Cameron, their head coach, put it in camp, we're not checking their birth certificates. We're checking how they play on the ice. So it starts with Gavin McKenna, who's a double underager. Then you move to Porter Martone as a projected top 3 pick. Matthew Schaefer, this guy's been absolutely brilliant. He's a projected top 3 pick. And Jack Ivankovic, who is their goaltender, might start out as the 3rd goaltender, is also included on the team. You don't see that many young players typically make Canada's roster, but the talent wins out in this scenario. And you're looking at McKenna, projected number 1 in 2026. Schaefer, man, this guy just keeps getting better and better. And Martone gives you that 6'3", 210 power forward element as a younger player. It's an impressive group of young players, but overall, it's a younger group than we're used to seeing.
I love that line. We're not checking birth certificates, we're checking talents, and they certainly have plenty of it. Jason, when you look at Team Canada's roster compared to Team USA, what are the differences that you notice?
Well, one thing I'm not overly concerned about, to be honest, is their goaltending. I think Carter George is up to task. I believe he's going to be the starter for Team Canada in this event. He was the MVP at the Olinka Gretzky in his cycle there, which is the big U18 summer tournament. And then he was the most viable goaltender at the U18 Worlds last year. He's at the Owen Sound Attack in the Ontario Hockey League, second-round draft pick to the LA Kings. I think that it starts there. There's no question that in net, but I'm confident. I think that this kid can roll the dice and be the guy for Team Canada. But on balance, the makeup of this roster, guys, I like the fact that there's interchangeable strategy here. And what I mean by that is that it's not just a team that's going to run and gun and play quick and just fast strike. If and when they need to come up with some muscle and a shutdown line, they've got some big bodies like Cole Baudin from the Barrie Colts is 6'3", 215 pounds. We already talked about Martone. You know, you start to go through the lineup and those guys might be tasked with checking something like the BC line. You'll see how it goes. Obviously, it's a huge lift. But the fact of the matter is, yes, they're young, but they've got a lot of kind of interchangeable pieces of the puzzle that their team can look different on any given night, depending on the opponent. And that's good news for Dave Cameron and his staff.
All right, let's take a look at those opponents. And like you said, all eyes in Canada on Boxing Day, on especially the opening game of this tournament for Team Canada, and they got a good one. They'll take on the Finns coming up the day after Christmas at 7:30 Eastern Time. After that, it's Latvia, Germany, and then they round out pool play against Team USA again, December 31st, New Year's Eve, 8 o'clock right here on NHL Network. So, a couple of powerhouses in Group A. How about some of the big boys in Group B? You've got Sweden, you've got Czechia, you got some notable names for both of these clubs. All of us were together at the Sphere in Vegas. I remember calling out a bunch of these names, a lot of these high prospects for NHL teams and stuff. Should be fun. Sweden, Sam, looking for their first gold medal since 2012, but always up there with the big boys like Team USA, Team Canada. When you look at the Swedes, what kind of damage can they do you think?
They're always in the competition. They're always in the dance, but they're always a bridesmaid. And for whatever reason, that just seems to hurt them. When I look at their group, though, it starts for me on the back end. You know, Lindstein, Axel Sandin, Palika, Tom Willander, these are guys that can play a variety of ways. They can defend, but they can also provide some offense as well. Then I look at their forward group. I don't see that rock star, game changer type of player, but what I do see is a lot of depth there. And that depth has the ability to score, so they should be able to pump out 4 lines that can all score and defend well. So normally we're talking about a Swedish team that might have that rock star player up front, make the pretty plays. That player, in my opinion, doesn't exist in this group. A more well-balanced group is what the Swedes are going to present.
For these two countries and all the other countries, not just U.S. and Canada, it's a big tournament, but for some of these guys, this is their Stanley Cup final, right? For some of these nations.
Absolutely. The World Championships or World Junior Championships mean a whole lot because it's a smaller country and they identify as this being the pinnacle of competition. So I think this team, and I think Finland too, and the Czechs to some extent, when they go to an international tournament, they know what their style of play is and how they can frustrate better teams. Let's not face it. If you look at the rosters and you look at all the first-round picks and all the high-profile players on the U.S. and Canadians team, Sweden's got plenty of good players. Czechs have plenty of good players as well. But they're outmanned based on the projections of what these players are going to be down the road. So to frustrate a skilled team and get them off their game, they have to play a team game that's better than the Americans or Canadians to compete with them. And an international tournament, whether it be the Olympics, whether it be World Juniors, they find a way, Sweden and Finland in particular, find ways to frustrate that. Finland's won 3 gold medals out of the last 12. No one knows that. They are darn good internationally. And the Swedes, they do great in the preliminary round, and then they get to that crossover round, and for whatever reason, they don't quite finish the job off. Last year, they lost in the finals. So you got to remember, these teams are going to play a certain brand of hockey that will be entertaining and that will keep them in games.
Jason, like Sam and Tony just said, Team Sweden, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Is this the year that they're the ones walking up to the altar? Maybe.
Well, yeah, potentially. It's very possible, and I'll tell you why. Sammy brought up something interesting there. In the past, they brought some of these higher-end goal-scoring, point-producing type of forwards, and as a group, even like a group of 5, they've been able to push the play a certain style. this group here with David Edstrom up front, the centerman who's, I believe, a draft for the Vegas Golden Knights, if I'm not mistaken, he's going to be a shutdown kind of guy who's going to take key faceoffs, and he's a big body. He's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting to match up against, again, the Boston College line or definitely the top lines in his pool, in the B pool. And then you start going through it, like Otto Stenberg, the St. Louis draft, he's very similar to like a Teddy Stiga for Team USA. He's always in the fight. He's getting after it. So Sandin Pellikka, Tom Willander on the back end, Theo Lindstein, he's a glue guy. This team should not be underrated for sure. I will tell you that. And here's the thing, fellas. For when you're scouting players, for when I'm scouting players, a little nerd speak here for you, you got to be able to skate, think, and you have to be able to provide relentless compete. The nations like Finland and Czechia, those types of places, their relentless compete can trump skill on any given night just with their approach. If Sweden can figure out how to be a little bit more relentless when they get to the medal round, this can be a very dangerous team.
Yeah, you mentioned, you had the saying, the little engine that could. How about the little nations that can? And Czechia certainly fits that mold. Why is Czechia always a very tough matchup, no matter who they're playing?
They're like a rash that never goes away, fellas. These guys roll over the boards, and they keep coming at you. This roster has 14 drafted NHL prospects on it, and I'm not talking about the high-end top 6 guys necessarily or top pairing D, but what they have is an abundance of character. They are always coming after you. They never lay down. Yes, they've got the Adam Jiricek on the back end for another St. Louis Blues prospect. St. Louis has almost got a full roster in this tournament. Good on their scouting staff. Adam Jekko, another St. Louis draft pick, a big body. And then Edward Sala, who had a fantastic tournament 2 years ago in Halifax. He's a guy to watch. I'm looking for him to pop a little bit more again this year because he has been in the American Hockey League producing better than secondary offense. But here's the thing. Goaltending and relentless compete, that attitude that we're never going to go away, expect that from Czechia. And the Group A is the group of death. I'm going to go back to like World Cup, soccer terms. Group B has a chance for Czechia to come out second, and their journey through the medal round could look a little bit different, and that might matter in the long run.
They are like a rash, and that is the ultimate compliment. I love that from Books right there. When you look at Team Czechia, and like you mentioned with the Finns, they're just on the international stage. This is as big as it gets. They're always in the mix, it feels like. Tough out.
They are always in the mix, and they have some interesting players. Like you look at Jiricek on the back end, and here's a guy who's been banged up a little bit. His latest game in Brantford in the Ontario Hockey League, he puts up 2 goals, so he's coming in hot into the tournament. And then you look at a guy like Jekko, who last year kind of looked like a newborn deer. He was long and gangly and had trouble kind of putting it all together. Now he's starting to put it together for the Edmonton Oil Kings in the Western Hockey League. And then Chalet, like his transition has been really fascinating to me because in junior hockey, he frustrated a lot of people. In the American Hockey League, as Jason's talked about, he's put up more than secondary offense. But when he's at his best, and Books and I saw it in Halifax a couple of years ago, my goodness, he can be a difference maker. He's that good. With this two-way game, his relentless compete, and the fact that he can make plays and score goals, if we see that guy for Czechia leading the way, man, they're going to be a real tough out.
And one other thing, it's a great point, is a lot of players on these other rosters that not Canada and U.S. rosters have come over and are playing in North America, whether they're playing Canadian juniors, some are playing college. So they're North American customized to the rinks and to the game that's being played over here. So I think that's a big advantage for some of those teams as well to have players already playing over here.
For sure. And Czechia trying to ride that momentum of the big win over Team Canada last year in the quarterfinals. We'll see if they can keep that rolling into this year's tournament. We'll step aside here. Coming up, John Morosi sat down with USA netminder Trey Augustine to talk his chance at a 3rd World Junior medal and to pass along some encouragement from a fellow Team USA and Michigan State legend.
The IIHF World Junior Championship Preview is presented by Elite Prospects, the gateway to hockey. Download the app now and track every detail of the World Junior Championships.
Welcome back to the 2025 World Junior Championship Preview Show presented by Elite Prospects. USA hockey fans know the name well, Trey Augustine. This will be his 3rd World Juniors, joining Spencer Knight and Jack Campbell as the only other American goalies to be on the roster for 3. As the Americans try to bring home back-to-back gold medals at the World Juniors, this year's tournament features a familiar face as Team USA's Trey Augustine returns for the third time. The Michigan State netminder is looking to become the first American goalie to win 3 medals at the WJC. Our John Morosi sat down with Augustine to discuss the upcoming tournament, as well as pass along a message of encouragement from a Team USA and Spartan legend.
Comments. Meshar throws it through, saved in front, rebound, it bounces around. Augustine's able to glove it and get a whistle.
He's world class. Everything's always in control, and it's really impressive to watch.
Ogren on a break. Ogren, kick save, Augustine.
You know, any win we have, and most of them because of him, and you know, you just feel like he's, you know, got this almost like this aura around him. I always feel so confident when he's in the net.
Here's a chance to the net, the Slovak, and Augustine was able to get a stick on that.
He's a great goalie. He bailed us out kind of anytime he made a mistake, so having him back there definitely helps the rest of us.
All right, Trey, I think you know this gentleman. He's got a message for you.
Oh, boy.
Hey, Trey, it's Ryan Miller. Just wanted to say congratulations on representing the U.S. team a third time. Looking forward to watching you at the World Juniors this year, and I've been loving watching you with the Spartans as well. Congrats on all your success so far, and best of luck down the line there, bud. All right.
That's awesome. One of the fellow Spartans always standing up for each other, so it's awesome to see.
How much do you remember of Ryan's amazing career that you've either learned about, obviously watched yourself, and just followed over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely watched the back end of his career a lot more than the start, but obviously did a ton for Michigan State, a ton for USA Hockey, and a ton in pros, so that just means so much to me to have someone like that in my corner supporting me.
When you walk into Munn, how often do you see his picture, his records, all the things he's done?
Almost every day, all over the walls. That's pretty decorated with all the history there now, so it's just super cool to see all that.
When you think about what he has done, certainly in East Lansing and then beyond, how much was that one of the reasons why you wanted to go to Michigan State and continue on this great legacy of goaltending for the Spartans?
Yeah, I mean, you just said the whole legacy of goaltending there. It's pretty special just who has been through there and just how much they've produced in the professional leagues, so it's definitely played into my choice to go in there.
When you think about the USA jersey, Trey, you've worn it in so many competitions internationally. What does that sweater mean to you?
I mean, it means everything. It just means opportunity at the end of the day, an opportunity to go represent not only myself, but my family, all my teammates, my school, everyone that's helped me in my life, and represent the United States of America.
What was the first time that you put it on for a game? Do you remember?
Must have been my first game at NTDP.
When you think back to that time, it's maybe a long time ago in some ways, but actually not that long ago at all. How much has life and hockey changed for you since then?
Yeah, I mean, it's really changed, but I remember just sitting probably in the locker room there, just like freaking out, because I mean, you're just wearing the nation's color every day. It's just so different than playing for a club team or a select team or anything like that. So I mean, just the opportunities that USA Hockey have given me are just unbelievable. I couldn't be more thankful.
Hit the body of Pert in front. Look out. Point blank chance. Augustine makes a couple of dazzling saves.
2 years ago, you're a U18 goaltender, and you're in the net for the World Juniors. You're playing in this amazing atmosphere in Halifax in your draft year, Trey. But what do you remember about just how emotional those games were, how draining I'm sure it was by the end, and how you managed all of that?
Yeah, no, I think those were some of the most memorable games of my life. I think it's really fun to have the tournament in Canada. Their fans are great, and they're going to be loud, and they're going to be cheering against us the entire time, no matter who we play. And I think that's the kind of the beauty of this tournament, and especially now that we won last year, kind of have that target on our back that we're the team to go after.
You're playing in that tournament against Bedard. The building is electric, and you're able to win a bronze medal during that competition. As you got home, what do you think you took away from that as you processed what you did and the pride you felt in how you were able to play as a U18 goaltender?
Yeah, no, it's really special, honestly, but you go there thinking that you're going to win, and then you don't win, and it's hard, and you have to kind of overcome that and just get back to it. I jumped right back into our NTDP season, and at that point I kind of knew that I'd have a couple more chances at it, and I was super lucky for that experience.
Think about that. You're now going to play in it for the third time. You've got a chance to be the first U.S. goaltender ever to win medals in 3 different World Juniors. No one's ever done it, not even Ryan Miller. No one's done it. When you think about all the great goaltenders our country has produced, what does that sentence and that possibility mean to you?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, I bet if you had told me I was entering the NTDP that I'd play in 3 World Juniors in a row and play in 2 U18s and play in the Men's World Championship team, that I'd look at you like you're crazy. But now sitting here today, it's just kind of, I mean, it just goes back to the opportunities that this USA Hockey has given me in this organization. And like I said, just so grateful for that.
A great piece there by our very own JP Morosi. A great look there at Trey Augustine. And Jason, I'll start with you on this one. Look, Augustine's going to be the guy. He's got the veteran leadership and experience, but Team USA, like so many other positions on that roster, very deep when it comes to that position between the pipes as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Augustine, obviously, he's got the ball, and he'll probably play the majority of the games. There might be one that the backup gets in there, but the backup is capable of being the #1 puck stopper for Team USA as well. One of the best names in the tournament by far, guys. Hampton Slakinski from Western Michigan University. He's absolutely been fantastic for the Broncos. 1.84 goals against, .941 save percentage. I mean, what a fantastic B game or B choice to go to if you're Team USA. So he's an LA King draft pick as well. But I'm excited to see Augustine go the distance for Team USA. I love the interview. I love his demeanor. This is a guy that the dressing room wants to play in front of. You can just feel the confidence from this kid. So, but if they need a B guy, don't sleep on Slakinski. He's going to be up to task as well.
Well, they're hoping they don't need a B guy, but if they do, it's certainly a good position to have some depth at, and Team USA certainly has that.
Oh, they have it. But listen to Augustine, right? Like, he's just so calm. I feel calm. I'd like to, you know, I like to go up in the rush and make a mistake and know that, you know, out of 2-0 or 2-1, he's back there, you know, ready to rock and roll. So that is a beautiful luxury for any coach to have. And I think you always, as a coach, want to get your backup guy in there at least once, just in case something happens. Let him feel comfortable. Let him feel the puck. Let him experience the atmosphere, and also to give him that experience. And I think that may very well be the case, as Book's talked about.
I'm going to say the same thing you guys said, is the calmness and the likability of the kid is special. And like I said, I spent a couple days there watching the pre-camp thing, and the relationships he has with the players and how they treat each other. You can tell he's one of those kids. He's in the net, but he's also a leader and somebody that you aren't going to make that mistake if he's in the net. You're going to play so hard for him, you will not turn the puck over. I think that's the mentality of those guys. So, nice kid. Yeah. Going to be a fun tournament to watch.
Cool, calm, collected. That's exactly the mindset you want from that guy at that position. When we come back here on NHL Tonight, we're going to put a bow on our World Junior Preview show and make some predictions for this year's tournament. Will it be a repeat for Team USA? Will Canada win gold on home soil, or will somebody else pull the upset?
In a bubbling cauldron of gold and blue, it's the gold medal game.
This 04 group has got a lot to prove, a lot they want to prove, and this is the stage and the team that they want to prove it against.
A lot of revenge to pay back.
And a goal! Perreault in front, deflected home. Here comes Howard, walking in, back in, and he scores!
But they came into this tournament with the best team. Nobody could go as deep as they could, and they proved it.
And he scores! It's Leonard! Oh my word! Gold medal winners.
Well, Team USA will start their quest to try and repeat as gold medalists, and it's coming up on Thursday. Taking a look at the slate of games on the opening day of the World Junior Championships. We kick off our coverage at noon Eastern, Slovakia and Sweden. Team USA takes on Germany in their first matchup, 2:30 p.m. right here on the NHL Network. Czechia takes on Switzerland. And last but not least, a really good day one matchup, Finland taking on Canada. Looking ahead to the big matchup in the prelims, New Year's Eve. What better way to ring in the new year than these two teams? They could be playing tiddlywinks, and we'd watch. The rivalry is awesome. Canada, USA in the prelims. It rounds out pool play. 8 p.m. right here on NHL Network on December 31st. Prediction time. We'll start with Jason Bukala. Books, who do you have in the gold medal game? Who do you have taking this year's World Junior Championship trophy home?
I have Team USA versus Team Canada in the gold medal game. I have the Americans winning gold. This roster is too deep to handle for most teams, I believe, and they've got some grade A guys who are already proven winners, not only at the World Junior level, but at the collegiate level, like Z Boyum on the back end. I love this kid. He's going to play 25, 26 minutes per night, Augustine in net. But I think it's going to be the heavy lifters, guys, like the Danny Nelsons and the underbelly that's going to complement the skill for the Americans. Here's the thing. I've got Team Czechia surprising, coming out of the other side and running their way to a bronze medal over Team Sweden in the bronze medal game. But it's going to be overtime on the very last night of the World Juniors with Team USA over Team Canada.
Wow,
I'm sorry to everybody in Canada, but that's just the way it's going to roll.
Okay, does Team USA beat Canada twice then? Who wins that New Year's Eve matchup in the prelims?
That's how Team USA has a better route to get to the final. They're going to come out of the Group A on top, and Canada's going to have to run over Sweden on the other side to get to the final.
All right, Books is going to have Christmas at my house in the States next year, so come on down for next year's tournament. Tony, I'll go prediction to you. Who do you have in the gold medal game this year?
I have the same. And Jace, I agree with you totally on all your points on why those two teams will be in the finals. Too much talent on both those two teams, too much experience internationally and in this tournament, and too much previous success for us to look elsewhere. So as far as who's going to win the game, I, as an American, never won a gold medal in a World Junior competition or a medal. So my heart's there. And I really do believe in this team for what you pointed out, Book. The third and fourth line are going to be key factors in that. We didn't give them a whole lot of love so far, but they know their role. They know Coach David Carle has laid a clear message out. You're on this team because, and this is what I need you to do. And those kids are chomping at the bit to do just that. I think they will be big factors in this tournament. As far as third place goes or the bronze medal, I'm going to say Finland somehow weans its way back into that picture, and it's an all-A pool medal.
All right. I like that. Cos, who you got?
Well, on the New Year's Eve matchup, I got the U.S. winning that one. Okay. In the gold medal game, I have Canada winning that one. I can't tell you the time and, overtime and all like
Books is like, right? Yeah, I got the magic 8 ball out.
Yeah. But I do think the Americans on paper have the better team, but I think the home crowd is really going to play a factor in this one, maybe more so than in recent memory, just because I think Canada feels that it needs it and because of what happened last year. So I got Canada gold, I get the U.S. with the silver, the bronze, probably the Swedes.
All right. It's the best thing about sports. We don't know how it's going to play out. So we gotta drop the puck. And it's always an entertaining tournament. Like we said, the best talent on display for that age group. Guys, it's always a pleasure for the preview show, but let's drop the puck and get this thing down for real. That is the site of this year's World Juniors. Enjoy it, everybody. We look forward to it.